Let's listen to Erica Martin explain the importance and the power in using cumulative exams.
If we're testing our students by chapters or units, you've got a picture here of an entire year. Each one of these blocks is a different chapter, a different unit. You can see that our days, we've got them signified with Get More Math Mixed Review in there. So remember that blue portion signifies the lesson, the teaching. The purple is the focus practice. And then that green is the quality, cumulative, individualized mixed review. So I'm already so happy to see that you are prioritizing mixed review on a regular basis. But if we do that in our practice, and then on the flip side, we only assess our students on one chapter, and then the next chapter, we continue to practice in review, but we only assess the next chapter. And then we get to Unit 3, and again, we continue to practice Unit 2 and Unit 1, but when it comes time for assessment and we give that test, we're only covering the third unit. So what are our students becoming accustomed to? Well, every time they take an assessment, it's on a limited number of skills. It's on the most recent skills that were taught. And we do this throughout the year so that by the time we get to the end of the year and it's time to take that big test, we ask them to do this. Doesn't seem fair, right? Really, how can we expect our students to consistently take tests that only cover specific chapters or specific units, and then one time a year they have to take this big, massive cumulative test? I don't really think we're preparing our students well. What if we considered adjusting our tests to not just include the material from that chapter or unit, but to also include old material? That's a cumulative assessment, right? Now you might ask, well, why don't all math teachers do that with their tests? Why don't they give tests that continually get slightly larger and include slightly more material? Well, the reason is it's really hard to build. Ask any teacher that's tried it. And when you get to Unit 6 and now you have to look back and you have to find good questions from Chapter 4 and Chapter 5, and Chapter 2 and Chapter 1, it's a challenge. And think about how this could improve your students' preparation for that big test. If now when we gave that first test, we covered the material that we think they actually know from that last unit. What if when we gave the second test, we covered the material we actually thought they should know from the first and second unit? What if on the third test, it's getting a little bigger, we included some material from Unit 1, Unit 2, and Unit 3? Now I'm wondering if you notice that I'm not highlighting the days directly before the test. I want to know when I give an assessment what my students actually know, not what they crammed the day before, not what they just memorized the night before maybe so that they could spit it out on the test. I want to know, what do they actually know? The material that I taught 1, 2, 3 days before a test, I don't expect them to know it yet. It's still too new. Anything before that most recent material was always fair game. And so what happens is when you think about that, what you're actually doing is you're preparing your students throughout the year for the big test, because every test gets a little bit larger, incrementally. So there's no sudden big jump. And if you think about it, when you're already using Get More Math, remember, all of that green is cumulative review. So you're already delivering that message to your student. You're saying, listen, I think it's important that we continue to practice and review all the skills from all year. Well, if we deliver that message through practice, why not deliver that message through assessments? Why not say that any assessment you get could include anything from the entire year? And if you consider this, what happens when you get to the end of the year and they have to take the big, big test? Folks, it's not that big to your students. It's just the last test of the year. When I started to test this way, it made a significant difference in the way they approached that end of the year test. The anxiety dropped considerably because it was what we had done all year.